In 2010, Harriet Sumner Pruden and her son, Dewey, sought to make change through a complaint to the Manitoba Human Rights Commission, or MHRC. Dewey, who was only 8 years old at the time, needed access to provincial disability-related services like home care and physiotherapy. But because he lived on their reserve of Penamutang First Nation, Dewey was often denied or delayed that help by the Manitoba government. In 2014, Harriet said she knew they weren't alone in their struggle with discrimination.
It's still a long battle, but I'm hoping within his lifetime, things change.
Now, after 14 years of determination, those eligibility restrictions have finally come to an end thanks to a settlement agreement between the Manitoba government, the MHRC, and Dewey's family. It comes with two main commitments from the province: to expand children's disability services and home care eligibility to First Nations children living on reserve, and to create a working group with federal and First Nations governments to see how those services can be best delivered. Harriet says she feels relieved that what she set out to fix has now been resolved and looks forward to the working group's findings.
I don't have any concerns at all because I know it includes our First Nations and also with both federal and provincial governments. So, we're at a time where the topic of reconciliation is on the table, and I hope, it moves forward in a positive way.
The Manitoba Human Rights Commission's executive director, Karen Sharma, says that dialogue is necessary to address the disparity in services First Nations communities face.
And we think that's an important component as well, because of course we want to make sure that First Nations children living in Manitoba have access to the supports that they're entitled to, but we need to go a step further to improve the supports that are out there and also better align those supports with the right to self-determination. There's a commitment for that to be taking place over the coming couple of years, and a requirement that reporting occur to our commission. We'll be sort of monitoring that taking place every 6 months, so that we can see that there's been real progress toward that commitment to really ensure that the services and supports that are needed for First Nations children are happening in Manitoba.
Now, little Dewey is an adult, 22 years old, and will no longer directly benefit from the change. Still living in Penamutang, Harriet says her son continues to have difficulties in accessing services near their community, roughly 220 kilometers north of Winnipeg.
They don't have the same resources, as any other, with home care, I'd have to look deeper into that, I guess, because, we do have limited resources in our communities, our First Nation communities.
She says Dewey signing this settlement agreement reminded them of their ancestor, former Penamutang Chief Richard Woodhouse, who was a signatory of Treaty 2.
I always hear that echoing in my mind, them speaking to me and saying, be resilient and keep moving forward.
Harriet says she is thankful to the Public Interest Law Centre and MHRC for their continued support all these years. Sav Jones, APTN National News, Winnipeg.